Hey everybody, this is Brent from The Second Look. Tonight I'm chatting with TJ Horan. TJ, nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too, man.
How are you?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Where are you located geographically?
Currently in Hawaii.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did, well, just curious, how does one end up in Hawaii or are you from there?
No, I'm from California. Mom moved over here. Didn't want to be away from her, so I moved with her.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's very nice. I did the same with my mom as she moved to Arizona when I was in high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so Hawaii. Now tell me, I don't know much about you, so we're gonna have to start from the beginning. I know you're writing a script.
Mhm.
Is screenwriting the thing? Is that what you're going after?
I'm thinking so. I'm looking into some college classes for business and marketing and stuff like that. I think that'd be a enormous help with things like this and seeing what people would want to see and instead of just something that's just floating around and no one talks about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a business that's called the film business, right? It's there's a
Yeah.
whole second half that people, when they go to school or when they get into the business and they're like, "Oh, I'm a creative, I'm going to make a movie and then I'm going to be, rich and famous, hopefully or whatever." But they neglect that business end of things. So yeah, I think it is pretty smart of you to anticipate that and to preempt, to get your education there in that field because yeah, making deals, signing contracts, just all kinds of legal stuff involved. But the business side, if you were ever to go into producing, like that requires some business acumen. Okay, so you're thinking of college business. Is that in Hawaii? Is there a program for that you're looking at?
There's a couple, and there's also a couple actual film classes that I'm looking at taking too. There's a few that I don't even need to pay for. I just got to show up, and I'm thinking that if I lock it down, that I could do both at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Free classes are are never a bad thing unless they're terrible classes, and then then you get you then you get what you pay for.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
always looking out for yeah where you can learn and how you can learn because there's no single path,
Hmm.
as you may have already experienced. Getting to where you want to go in this industry, everybody that's made it has taken a completely different route. So,
God, yeah.
but yeah, the free classes, combining them with almost like a major and a minor, I think
Yeah.
that's great. What are your okay as a writer? What are you looking to write? Are you a genre guy, a character study guy? You know, what are you into?
Honestly, there's nothing really specific that I go for. This is about my third go around. Completed one thing and then didn't finish one. I stopped caring about it, and I figure if you're not caring about it, then no one else is gonna care about it. If I'm not making movies for me, who the hell am I making them for?
Hmm.
And the one that I'm doing or that I was doing, it was too big. I wanted to put everything. You write stuff like this and you want to just fit as much as humanly possible in because you don't want to miss anything because you're so excited about it. And I figured that out. And with this one, I'm just gonna make a little story about something everyone's gone through in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't need to be some grand scale. It needs to be two people in a room talking. I feel like people would see that and connect with that a lot more than they would CGI explosions.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, characters are always the foundation, no matter what the plot is. Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty smart. So it seems like you're already kind of going through the process of figuring, this out and what works for you and what you want to focus on. I mean, I totally understand your point. you're writing a script, you have a million ideas and you're trying to cram them all in, and you have to be, or you have to not be precious with your ideas. You have to decide, actually this, this doesn't belong, even though it's cool, like, but you save it, you put it in a drawer, and then next time you pull it back out and there's a whole new idea for you to work with.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. When did you start writing?
Honestly, not too long ago, because up until I want to say 2.5 years ago, I was fully focused on acting and wanted to do that instead until me and my buddies would mess around and we'd throw these ideas around and we'd try to act scenes out together, or we'd watch a movie and pause it every 5 seconds to repeat the lines back at each other.
Right.
And I just realized that I'm just kind of a crappy actor, and I like cameras a lot more than I like talking. So, I decided to just course correct and figure out what kind of stories I feel like I want to see and then I never see. And there's like 4 billion different actors and directors have said nobody's gonna make the movie that you're gonna make.
Mhm.
Yeah, but everyone can say the line exactly the same way that I would, but they can't move the camera or make a character feel this way better than I could because it's my story.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's yeah, and I like that. I also like what you said earlier about, like, if you don't care about the story, no one else is, and like that's kind of a requirement, like no matter what you're working on, if it's just paint by numbers in a screenplay, that's kind of how it's going to be received. And it's also kind of smart of you to know when to pull back or know when to stop, to, okay, that thing is not working. Now let me pivot, because people sometimes have trouble recognizing either, I guess maybe faults is a maybe a harsh term, but just the, like the things that you're trying to do, and being humble about it,
Mm.
like, and recognizing, like, this isn't, either that's not interesting to me, or I recognize that I don't have maybe what it takes to do this thing. I've had that
Yeah,
myself. It's a can be a bitter pill to swallow. Okay. But I'm sure acting has helped inform you as a writer, right?
I really think so. I got really mad when I would sit by myself and I'd look up specifically that Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. I looked up the script for that, and I studied as much of it as I possibly could, and I got really frustrated when it didn't say look to the right or blink faster or start breathing heavy. It's nothing like that. All that came from the people reading the words. They turned it into what they turned it into. It's not just, robots reading what they're supposed to read. They're putting their own emotion behind it. And I could never figure out what kind of emotion I need to put on there, how little I needed to be subtle about it, but I always got too excited about it and I just wanted to make sure people understood what I was trying to say, so I did too much and then it looked crappy and then it just didn't work out. It's just not the part for me.
Yeah. That's a bit of a tightrope for screenwriters. You have to give the director and the actors enough information to take it from there, but you can't really build the bridge for them. You kind of have
Yeah.
to trust that they'll get it and that they'll make it across on their own, because it's a handoff for screenwriters. It's a my work is done, here you go. you know
Yeah.
that's also difficult to hand over your babies like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that you're reading screenplays, studying them, because ironically, I've known many a writer who doesn't read screenplays.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what, a painter not going to a museum or opening up an art history book or something. It's like, why? What are you doing? Like, are you
Yeah.
hoping that you'll just grasp everything from the ether? Because that's not going to happen. You have to, like, work for it. I appreciate that you're doing that, and that you're finding the mechanics of it, because yeah, it's a creative outlet, the screenplay, is a creative outlet, but it's also a mechanical one where you have to, you don't have to, there's formatting. There are certain rules that you can follow and break as you want, but you kind of have to keep those things in mind as you're trying to just, create.
Yeah.
You're working with a limited kind of palette, I guess. Any other screenplays, screenwriters that really kind of resonated with you?
Honestly, I do my best to not relegate it just to that. I do everything I can to consume as much art in general as humanly possible because with every type of movie that I love, it's not just like I was talking about where the camera is. It's about the music, it's about who's there, it's about how they're look at whoever they're talking to. It's about a million different things. So I constantly try to consume as much art as I can. I have a whole page on Instagram that I draw on. I do designs for my buddy's clothing brand. I literally not a single second of my day is spent without music in my ear
Mm,
of any type that I can get my hands on.
mm,
Got really, really attached to Wes Anderson as it's my mom's favorite director. So I've been nonstop watching his movies for the past like 2 weeks and genuinely like as much as I can studying them without looking anything up. That's my favorite portion to do. I don't want to read what he thinks it should look like. I want to see what the outcome was and decipher what I think it could have looked like this way, you know.
mm. Yeah, yeah, that's good. At least that, I mean, I approve of that methodology, right?
Mm.
To try to consume and understand and get into a piece, on your own, because that's a skill, and that's it's important to kind of, yeah, understand it on your own terms before learning, like, oh, that's not actually what was supposed to happen or was
Yeah.
supposed to come across at all, because then you realize, oh, okay, now I see what they actually did, and now I know what they tried to do, and like maybe I can see now where the disconnect was, and
Hmm.
then that's a learning experience for you.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. What do you like about Wes Anderson's work so much?
I don't know really. There's a lot of portions of just horribly sad people using everything in their power to not be sad, be and still doing things like not talking about it. There's hidden sadness underneath all the layers that you see in the movies, like the Darjeeling Limited.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson's covered in bandages that entire movie, and the entire movie he's getting farther away from his brothers while also learning more about them and somehow getting closer as they're getting farther. And we never see his full face in the injury until way later in the movie when his brothers do. It's just showing us that even though he talked about it and we know that all the scars and cuts are underneath there, we don't see it and really know how bad it is until his brothers do. And it just connects you with everything a whole lot more. And there's a bunch of different things like that with Isle of Dogs. When I can't remember the character's name, but when he gets washed and you thought he was a black dog for the entire movie, and all of a sudden he's this pristine, beautiful white dog, and you're sitting there and you're just, oh my God, he didn't even know about this. Nobody knew about this. We didn't know about the pain that he's holding on top of himself and the pain that Owen Wilson was hiding underneath, you know. I
Mm.
just find something really, really awesome about that, and I try to convey that in anything that I can.
Yeah. No, that's a great observation. I agree. I think Wes Anderson, for all the bright colors and kind of fun music and, kind of orderly compositions and all that, yeah, inside there's some deeply troubled people trying their hardest to get out of it. I agree. And it's a good mix. It's an interesting mix between that content, the emotional content, even though it's often internalized, but then also but paired with this external aesthetic that is anything but sad. Darjeeling Limited is like bright and sunny and yellow and blue and all kinds of great visuals. But yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I ask you, like, Is there a type of film you want to make, like a certain genre or anything, or are you more just kind of open to anything and whatever moves you?
I kind of feel the way about it that Tarantino has put that he feels about it, even though most of his movies feel really similar. He's just kind of, he's not trying to just make Nazi movies. He's not just trying to make period pieces. He's just, if he thinks of something and he thinks that it's cool and it's worth telling, then he's gonna tell everybody in the world about it.
Yeah.
And like I said, but the second thing that I wrote, and it was a huge. I was way farther into superheroes around then because I had nothing going on, so I was only watching movies all day long. It was all
Hmm.
superheroes. So I tried to make my own, and I couldn't do anything with it besides explosion here, gun over there, and superhero flipping around the screen on this side, and it just didn't work out. I've grown a lot more fond of these smaller
Hmm.
stories just about people,
Hmm.
That's why I've liked this new Superman so much, is because he's soaring across the screen, but he's the most human person in the movie despite being an entire alien from a different solar system.
Right,
Just
right.
I like stories about people just being people, and
Yeah.
because of how terrible or confusing people can actually be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, like I said before, like characters, your story, your script should start and end with the character. No matter the genre, even if it's a superhero movie, like you're saying, it should really be grounded in that way. Otherwise, you're just watching, a spectacle for its own sake.
Yeah.
So it's good, and having that character focused as a foundation will allow you to pivot to whatever story or genre that comes along that strikes your fancy, because you'll have that universal foundation. So yeah, I mean, you're setting yourself up in a really good way to I think accomplish what you're looking for and what people are looking for. Like we talked about,
Yeah.
people want characters, they want growth, they want change, and as long as you can give that to them in some sort of package, I think you'll have done your job.
Yeah, it's just good art is, even if it's a painting or a movie or music, like I was talking about, if it makes you feel something, then it's art. Even something like Madam Web is pretty widely hated. It made you feel hate, so I'm sorry, but it's art still. It's if you can make somebody see something and they're still thinking about it tomorrow, and they're thinking how, oh my God, that was so cool, or oh my God, that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm, mhm.
You have created something that nobody else can create. That the butterflies in your stomach when talking to people, or your stomach dropping when you think you're in trouble, kind of thing. You think your favorite character in the movie's gonna die. You freak out. They kiss the girl they've been talking about the entire movie. You're acting like you just kissed the girl you've been talking about since high school.
Yeah.
That's just all I'm trying to do. I don't care if it's CGI explosions or people talking over some coffee. If you're feeling something watching what I've made, then I've entirely done my job.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it is amazing, right? That people are able to walk into a dark room, get transported to some other people's story for only an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, maybe a little longer,
Uh,
but able to be wrapped up so much so that your emotions are their emotions, and there's this kind of circuitous feedback loop happening with the audience and the story. And then, yeah, like however long it takes to, but you can burst into tears. You could be so like connected to what's happening on this D screen with people who are acting.
yeah.
Like you're aware that everything you're watching is a construction that that somebody wrote, and then now these people are pretending. And yeah, you kind of take your hands off the wheel, and you just allow yourself to connect like that. I think
Yeah.
it's a very cool thing about the experience of watching movies.
That's why with what I'm writing now, not entirely, but mostly basing it on something that has actually happened to me, and it's like a real serious thing that I feel like I'm the only one that can write about, you know.
Mm,
I know I've said that 14 times, but it is really true that everyone's gonna experience this movie, that movie in a different way. Um, but my favorite thing in this one is there's just a whole scene about them talking about how the main character's a writer and he doesn't know what to write about, so he's writing a story about people who don't have problems. And this girl's going, well, what the hell is the point then? And they have a whole conversation about how people want good problems, but if they're good, then they're not really problems. And it's just a whole thing about maybe you,
mm.
maybe I'm thinking that there's no problem, but in reality, I'm ignoring the fact that there are real problems here. And I think that's something that everybody and their mother has had to experience at least once, just not seeing what's going on because you don't want to.
Mm. Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
For sure. People blinded to their own issues. I mean, it's funny to me that, when I used to be a teacher, I still do, like script coverage and stuff here and there. And I'll read somebody's script and I'll be like, "Hey, like this thing here like doesn't work," or, this is a problem here. And then so I sound like I know what I'm doing, and and then I go back and I'm writing my own script, and then I sit back and I look at it. I'm like, I just did the same thing that I just told this other person not to do. Like,
Mhm.
how is that possible? I think it's really interesting that, some of the hardest advice in creative work, but it's just in your life, the hardest advice to take is your own. That you're so like happy to dish out to everyone else. Interesting. Yeah. And that's that kind of contradiction that makes layered, interesting characters. So,
Yeah. Can't have everybody agreeing the whole time, you know. That's
right.
why I love characters like Lois Lane. She's entirely there to challenge Superman.
Mm,
She is what he sees humanity as, and he doesn't see humanity as people who are gonna roll over and go, "Oh, okay, whatever." She's gonna go, "No, you saved people, but you messed up 14 different things when you were trying to do that, you know."
mm,
And I want characters to act like that. I want them to force this onto somebody else so they can see that they ignored it because, like I said before, they didn't want to.
yeah, right. Those are foil characters,
Mm.
those are called. Like, you know, the their mere presence illuminates something about that the main character, let's say, that they wouldn't be able to recognize on their own or
Mm.
in themselves, but also for the audience. You kind of have That's why you're holding them both up at the same time. You're able to compare, contrast, and see how kind of yeah, a more objective view into a character through another character's perspective.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. Yeah. So no, let me get this straight. No, so far, no formal training. No like screenwriting courses.
No, nothing so far.
Okay. And I mean, you've already talked about that a little bit, like, but what else are you doing to teach yourself? Are there books that you're reading? Are you on blogs and YouTube channels? How are you educating yourself? Because and I want to get the answer because I think a lot of people have the desire to do this or learn this or go be that, and when they don't have unlimited resources and time and money and all the things that those things usually require, they get frustrated, they get defeated, and they stop. So tell us your version of like how are you going around the system of education to make yourself a screenwriter.
Honestly, a lot of it has been like you said, where I'm just looking on YouTube. I've watched millions of hours of people telling me how this is how they were able to do this, or this is what this director did, or the directors themselves talking about it. Watch hours and hours and hours of behind the scenes stuff
Mhm.
of just them talking about how they got to the point where this could be a real thing. And I haven't gotten my hands on any books, honestly. I really should be doing that. But I've also gotten a lot of it from my dad, who did have training. He went to school for this for
Yeah.
years and years. He didn't end up doing anything with it though, because his dad was paying for it, and then him and his dad stopped talking, so school stopped working. And he did what I did. He talked to as many people as humanly possible about it. He read books all day long about it.
Mm.
He bought all the equipment because this person said that you needed it, and he figured out that you don't need it, but you can use it for all 14 of these things. Yeah, I'm just taking a lot as much as I can from him, taking as much as I can from YouTube, and
Mhm.
definitely gonna order some books. Honestly, probably when we're done.
Yeah, I mean, I totally appreciate the DIY, approach,
hmm
and there is something to be said about teaching yourself before someone else teaches you, because then if you if they get to you too early, it's maybe harder to break out of their mold, and harder to find your own approach, your own voice. A friend of mine was learning guitar, and he just refused to, like, I was trying to teach him a chord, you know. He's like, "No, don't show me anything. I just want to." He really like embraced this thing where it's like, I'm going to make this instrument my own. I'm going to I'm going to ignore rules and the teaching and lessons and the standards. And that's cool. It's really interesting. It's admirable. So I commend you on that, and I want to encourage that some more. Don't feel, I wouldn't say you should feel like you need to buy books or follow any doctrine, I guess. There's plenty out there, so that it can be hard to know, like, which ones are good and which ones are bad. I think there's some exploration involved to find who speaks to you more
Mm.
clearly, because there's some that I've read that are like, oh no, I don't, not into it, but then others that are, it's just like mind blowing. So it is a good experience, and I, yeah, would recommend that you kind of venture out there a little bit, but just and I'm not worried that this is going to happen. I feel like you're already got a good head on your shoulders. You're not going to just blindly follow some guru who's telling you what to do and how to write and how to be a writer, because yeah, it's all personal stuff. But having it is interesting to have to bounce ideas around and hear other people's ideas and take, you know no, don't just be a sponge, but be kind of like be selective about what you're learning and what you're appreciating, and what you're taking on and putting in your own tool belt.
Yeah.
Be choosy. And I mean, you're starting early, right? So like there's plenty of time. I feel like you've already learned a few really good lessons, even in just writing a couple different things. So I
Yeah.
think I think do you have any I always like to ask, especially when people are from different areas that aren't the hubs like LA or New York or whatever. So Hawaii, is there a community there? Is there a independent scene? Are there people that you can get your script to that might help you, producer or director or DP, like to help you kind of put it all together?
Somewhat. I cannot ever for the life of me remember the names of them. I have screenshots of them, but there's multiple different film festivals that go on here.
Mhm.
There's somebody that I met through church who builds sets for movies, and they get sent out everywhere else. And he travels all over to do it.
Mm,
Talked to him a lot about it, and I've had some really good conversations with him too.
mm,
But other than that, I work in customer service, and I meet people all day long, and whenever they buy movies, we end up talking about movies for a while. There's a guy that comes in to my work, and every time he's there, we talk about movies for 45 minutes, and I get in trouble every single time because I get so carried away, and I'm not on break, so I'm just standing there talking to him. He's given me a whole stack of them of stuff that I haven't seen. Like I never saw Heat up until a week ago, and he gave me that, told me to keep it, and he wants me to study it, and he always calls me Tarantino now every time he comes in. But other than little stuff like that, I haven't found too much, which is it really bummed me out. But I don't plan to stay here for the rest of my life, so I feel like there's a lot of different ways that I could go about it elsewhere.
sure. Yeah, yeah. No, uh, there are always people, but depending on where you're at and and also your social temperament, or if you're an extrovert or an introvert like
Mm.
me, who doesn't go out, it's very difficult to meet people.
Yeah.
But they're out there, and they're probably in the same position, looking for someone like you. So definitely keep going, make those connections, especially with whoever you can, right? Because you'll never know who that guy who builds sets.
Mhm.
He might say, "Hey, I got this job over here, but some one of my guys dropped out. What are you doing?" And then
Yeah.
suddenly you have an opportunity, and assuming all everything else works out and makes sense, you should take those opportunities. So
Yeah.
even as a writer primarily, but sounds like you have an interest in maybe directing as well, but saying yes to everything that comes your way like that, because you never know what it's going to lead to, and who you're going to meet. And it it, the more unlikely it seems, like I'm a writer, I don't want to build sets, but you go there and there's probably another guy building sets who also wants to be a writer, who just happened
Yeah.
to end up building sets. And then suddenly you meet that person, and now you're besties and you're a writing team, and then
Mhm.
you go, and then you're off to the races, so like definitely encourage you to follow all any and all leads like that.
I definitely do not leave home either. I'm here all the time. That's all I'm doing. But
Hmm.
I also have only worked in customer service. Every job I've ever had is just talking to people all day long. So I've gotten pretty good at talking to people and everything. Especially bringing out their interests. And
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like if I can get the people around me, that I can make the connections.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, talking to people, right? This goes back to what we were saying. Characters are people. You need to
Mhm.
know, if you're gonna write characters, you need to know people. And I guarantee you've probably met a bunch of characters, characters
Yeah.
in waiting, people who seem like they just came out of a movie, but now they meet you, and now it's your opportunity to write them into a movie. I mean,
Mhm.
I drove for Lyft for like 4 months, and every person that got into my car is a character, is a story, and is a personality, and is, you never know. It's that, like, kind of authenticity that you get, but the spontaneity, like the unplanned, like where you're going with
Mhm.
it. Like you get a message like, okay, pick up this person, you drive there, and then you don't know where you're going until they get into your car. And then suddenly it's like, okay, we're going way over there with me and you. Let's go. And like
Yeah.
every ride was like an adventure like that. It was 4 months, but I got so much out of it. So take it sounds like you're doing it, but like even you're saying like I've only worked in customer service, but like whatever you're doing, take what you can out of it that you feel like you can apply to this. In this case, meeting people, talking to people, listening to speech patterns and word choice, because that's what a writer needs, is speech patterns, word choice, to give their characters, an authentic voice. So you're doing research, you're doing practice every time you go to work. So just keep it up.
Yeah, I can't have every character just be me. That's the problem with Marvel right now, is that's why characters like Spider-Man and Iron Man were
Mm,
and are so popular, is because not everybody talks like them. They're not all joking around the whole time, except
yeah,
now they are. But you can't have every character be the same. Someone's got to be an asshole. Someone's got to be nice. Someone's got to be funny. Someone's got to not understand why it's funny.
yeah,
It's a real trade-off. It's a real 50-50 with the way you put everything, and not everybody can just speak the exact same way I do, just because I'm writing it.
no, absolutely. That is one of the hardest things for writers to get over,
Mhm.
is you're putting words into people's mouths, and it's very easy to, like you're saying, to just, okay, I would say this through this character, and then I would say
Mhm.
this back to them, and trying to get out of your head into their head what would they
Mhm.
say? How would they say it? Try it's very very similar to acting in that way. You know, you're embodying a different person, thinking
Yeah.
how they think, talking how they talk, and that's why kind of going back to acting informing your writing. I think every storyteller, even like DPs, but especially directors, especially writers, should take acting classes because it that practice of being another person, seeing through another person's eyes perspective is invaluable for whatever you're doing. So maybe keep those acting classes along with your screenwriting
Yeah.
and your business, and then you'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, there we go. Just get all the acting infinity stones. Yeah, that's what we got to do. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Simple. Well,
Yeah.
TJ, this has been a real treat for me. I wasn't sure because I hadn't, usually when I talk to someone, I have seen their short films or read
Mhm.
their script or, and I didn't have it at the time, but very interested in you and your perspective. I'm really interested to see what your script is that you're working on. So definitely send it my way when you're done. I'd love to check it out.
Oh
But
yeah.
thanks for your time, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, definitely. You too, man. I appreciate it.
Great. Have a great night, TJ.
You too.
See ya.